Part 2. Project Management. Key challenges. COVID-19. Lockdown conditions restricted access to physical spaces, which also meant that learners could not access our devices and technology, which would ordinarily have enabled production of creative material. Recruitment. Leaflets. A generic leaflet was produced with several common languages featured within. While traditional forms of advertising can be a successful way to generate interest, lockdown conditions affected our ability to reach enough people. With libraries and public buildings being closed, leafleting was restricted to open public spaces. Existing networks. Personal and professional networks were a primary method for recruitment. A key personal contact introduced enthusiastic members of the refugee community in Leicestershire. Although project delivery was restricted to Derbyshire communities, it was through these contacts that learners were recruited in Derbyshire. Working with a Kurdish student from Loughborough enabled us to canvass leaflets to greater effect than if working alone. Through Shvan, Amir Ali was recruited. Although Amir's level of English was proficient, he was very keen to help and was therefore recruited as a community advocate along with two of his friends. It was through Amir, Redan and Bilal that several students joined the course. This mind map demonstrates the complexity of recruitment for socially engaged practice, along with the importance of community relations and networks before, during and after projects are delivered. Though some interest was generated through canvassing in Normanton, the most successful way to recruit learners was to work closely with those who were part of the communities we were trying to reach. A second leaflet was produced after consulting with our newly recruited Kurdish community advocates. They informed us of errors in translation on the first leaflet, even though we'd used a professional language translation service. While it was an effective strategy to work directly with Kurdish members of the community for the second leaflet, this process took a significant amount of time due to software issues and the differences of opinion on accuracy. Digital leaflet. This was produced to invite video contributions from private and professional social media networks. While the overall response was positive, production of suitable material to generate adequate content proved to be a lengthy process. Clear and precise instructions were needed for contributors to provide digital media which was suitable for our needs.
Si vous souhaitez apprendre l'anglais à travers l'art et la créativité, contactez-nous.
Crowdsourced video.
Do you want to learn English in a
fun and creative way?
Then listen up.
Content produced as a result of the digital leaflet generated 9 separate contributions in as many languages. Digitally produced video content was an effective and appropriate method to promote our classes towards our target audience. While the video reached private networks and posted within public groups, its distribution was somewhat limited to these networks.
Share your skills with us.
Partagez vos histoires avec nous.
Let's make. Let's share.
Strategies for distribution within target audience networks within the given time frame proved to be a challenge, and its reach could have been more effective.
Get in touch. Let's build our community together.
Social media. Existing personal and professional social media networks and public groups were utilised. The crowd-sourced video was shared in relevant groups such as Spotted Normanton and Derby City of Sanctuary, along with personal and private networks for distribution. This proved to be a popular approach, with many learners being engaged through a key contact and volunteer who had noticed the film through the Derbyshire Refugee Solidarity Network. More than half of our learners were recruited through this individual. Administration. Digital poverty made it extremely difficult for quad staff to administer any necessary paperwork with students. The enrolment process was lengthy, taking between 1 to 2 hours, depending on Wi-Fi, leading to some being enrolled across several days. Enrolments were difficult to arrange due to many students working night shift, etc. Some learners were disabled from accessing the course altogether, with one unable to activate Zoom on his handheld device and consequently giving up. Others struggled with intermittent Wi-Fi connections. In normal circumstances, these students would have been guided through the process using visual cues and body language. Communication. WhatsApp was the most efficient, practical and trusted way to communicate important information to individuals and the group. A private group formed the basis for important updates and homework tasks, while private messages were exchanged for speedy responses, personal issues, questions, concerns and last-minute requests, including links to online Zoom classes. WhatsApp allowed us to quickly build trust and friendships with learners through the informal use of emojis, GIFs, images, voice notes, along with more formal documents such as PDFs containing lesson plans, enrolment and consent forms, etc. Project management. As project manager on this initiative, I am cognizant of the array of personal and professional skills required to meet the demands of this role. Although these skills may be understood as prerequisites, adequate knowledge may only be learned over a long period of time. This knowledge and experience is born from the desire to deliver professional practice and is driven by a purpose to effect social change. Such considerations can help us to understand why it is that socially engaged practice is a growing field of study. With more than a decade of experience in this field, with primary interests in art and advocacy, only recently have I become more aware of my overarching position as a project manager. Socially engaged workers are often simultaneously required to creatively lead projects, while the additional responsibility of managing and training staff and contracted workers. The multifaceted nature of socially engaged practice often involves an unrealistic amount of work, which requires working odd hours to meet the demands of this role.